last week when I prepared for this panel, I think I made some really nice slides. And then I read the instruction. It said, discourage slides. So what to do then? Then I'll go for three-dimensional presentation instead. I had a slide with the Arctic Ocean and a handful of the very capable ice-breaking research vessels. So I have them as models instead. So if I move the iceberg here, and we have the Arctic Ocean, and a couple of research icebreakers. But funny enough, they look all like Oden from Sweden. I don't know. So, but this is actually the question we have on the table. That we have a couple of really good, going back to Admiral Papp's remark from last year, we have a couple of really good, capable ships, and how to coordinate it in the best way for science. So, but I'll pick one of them, and this is actually Oden. The other one is Louis Saint Laurent. We have Polarstern, we have Korean Aron, we have Healy, etc., etc., etc. But this is Oden. Two words on Oden. 25 research expeditions going north, and 5 going south to Antarctica in a cooperation with the US and National Science Foundation. So this is, we think, this is one of, Sweden has a fleet of 5 icebreakers, so this is one of them, and the latest, and it's heavily research equipped. But feel free to use the three-dimensional presentation, dear friend, so we can move around and say this is not relevant for this expedition, they should do it together, those two. For instance, last year, this is last year. Last year we had, no, the year before, we had the Canadian Louis Saint Laurent and doing it together with Oden. And we went all the way up to the North Pole and collected data with focus for your UNCLOS work in Canada. So this is a very good example of collaboration. I have 3 points. One is science and ships. The other one is opportunities and differences. And the third point is an acronym, and the acronym is ARISE. First, science and ships. Science need ships, that's obvious. And ship in that sense is a research infrastructure. But funny enough, when you talk about research infrastructure in the format of a ship, sometimes it gets so complicated. The terrestrial people working science on land, they have their lab. And there is a tradition how to coordinate, how to use it, how to fund it. And something funny happens in our funding system when we take the laboratory and go out to sea. So this is something I think we need to understand. Why it's not exotic, it is a laboratory going to sea. But science needs ships. And those two entities, science and ships, should never be separated. Because when you plan for a research expedition, you can never let the science do the planning all the way to SED and then order a ship. It never works. And you cannot have a ship that says, okay, dear scientist, here we are, do you want to use us? That works very seldom. So what the point I'm trying to make is that to do good science in a very resource-effective way, you have to have a very iterative process between the ship operators, on this side, the ship operators and the science community. That's a key factor for success, to have that very close interaction between operators and the science community. The second point I would like to stress is differences, the opportunity in differences, and I'm talking about the different ship capabilities. I had a graph that I did last week, which I cannot do in a three-dimensional way because I don't know how to do it. The graph was, on one axis, it was the ships, the ship, how research-equipped the ship is. And on the x-axis, it was how capable the ship is in breaking ice. And when you take the 10 or 15 ship that is available today, you get a very nice distribution between very research capable, but you cannot send her to the North Pole, or very capable of breaking ice, and you can easily send her to the North Pole. And my point is that science needs the whole spectrum of ship. So again, that is an argument of we need to coordinate, and not one country sit on that spectrum of ship. So international science community really need to be coordinated in a better way to use, for instance, the real opportunity that we have an international fleet with very different capability when it comes to breaking the ice or being very research equipped. Yeah. If we take Oden, and a little bit of boasting and bragging again on Oden, I would say Oden is 1 out of 2 or 3 when it comes to combo. So if this is the axis, you find Oden up here, both research equipped and very capable of breaking the ice. But if that graph could have been done 3-dimensional, and the z-axis would be how behave in open water, then Oden would be in the 0, Origo. Ask me, I mean, this shoebox in open water, don't try to do science on this. Then we should have other ships instead. My last point is the acronym ARISE. I know there are people in the audience that know much more details about ARISE. ARISE stands for Arctic Research Icebreaker Consortium Europe, or something like that. And this is a concept that was now funded by the EU Commission, and it will start in January next year, this project. And it was in the beginning, it was initially it was the concept was brought forward in a collaboration between Germany and Sweden. Germany has Polarstern and Sweden has Oden, and 5-6 years ago we started to talk how to coordinate, and we did a concept. And then we took that concept together with other countries and made an application to EU research infrastructure call, and we were granted money. So it's not only Germany and Sweden now, it's, I think it is, help me, 12 countries or 14 countries, or something like that.
14?
Something, 14, okay. So 12 European countries and transatlantic bonding to US and Canada. And the main delivery of this project is to figure out exactly what we are talking about right now. How could the optimal mechanism be to coordinate the vessels that we have, the ice-breaking vessels, in the most resource-effective way? And how should the funding mechanism look like on an international scale? At the same time, this project will have a certain pot of money for transnational access. So 6 of the ship, I think it is Oden, Polarstern, I have to read here, Amundsen, Sikuliak, soon to be launched, Kronprins Haakon from Norway, and soon to be launched, Sir David Attenborough. At those 6 ships, we will do a feasibility study. How would it work with transnational access money going one science group from one country using another country's ship? So I think that's an embryo of what we actually are in this conversation are heading for. How to go about to coordinate it.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And,